What's the crack, lads? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back with a brand new up-to-date tier list. Starting with defenders, we're going to be taking a look at the 25 best defenders in the game, ranking them from GOAT tier to A to B. Where did I go right? Where did I go wrong? Where do you agree or disagree? Get in touch in the comments below. Let's get straight into it. So these 25 players are taken from the top 50 squads in the game, the top ranked 50 players in the game, and what players that they're using. There might be one or two omissions, but mostly it's the same kind of, 20 to 25 players, right? So that's where we've got it. If there is a player missing, I know Lizarazu is missing. I know Lee Dixon is missing. I know there's a couple of players as well that you might be using, like Davies or somebody. But we're going to crack on and go through this fairly quickly. And as ever, we are going to start with our left back, Jordi Alba. Now, there is a couple of talking points in this as well, because obviously we do have a GOAT tier there. This GOAT tier is going to be like the ultimate of the ultimate. Now, I have a little bit of a debate going on with a few people in my streams about, Ronald Araujo from Barcelona, but we'll talk about that in a second. Wan-Bissaka and Beckenbauer. Wan-Bissaka was a beast. If you've trained him up as a CB, he's an absolute tank. The three absolutes. Beckenbauer and Bergomi in here with him as well. A lot of people aren't playing Wan-Bissaka. There's only a couple in the top 50 that are using him, but I definitely think he's on par. He's not in GOAT tier or A. Now, Van Dijk is probably the one that I'm kind of a little bit more biased towards, and this is where it kind of comes into it, right? Van Dijk and Lilian Thuram have been my partnership for the last couple of weeks, right? Now, I don't even have the aerial fort Van Dijk. We have the older Showtime. And obviously a bit of a spoiler here as well, because we do have Cannavaro and Maldini in our main squad at the moment. So they're going to go straight up into the GOAT tier as well. I don't think anyone will really complain with Maldini, but Van Dijk and Araujo, I haven't played that much with Araujo, and I know a lot of people are kind of saying that Araujo is the best in the game. I definitely will grade these cards towards the end of the video, so make sure you stick till the end. I am going to grade these cards from like number 1. So from left to right is going to be kind of a placeholder at the moment. We're just putting them into their categories as we drop Chiellini in there and Costa Curta into B. Chiellini into A, he joins Jordi Alba. Bergomi, Cafu, Costa Curta, Beckenbauer and Wan-Bissaka. I'm also going to put Philip Lam in there. I know Philip Lam is a fantastic player, but not as a defender. I think he's better suited kind of going forward a little bit more. He doesn't have that defensive capabilities. And Mosquera, we actually got this guy in our free-to-play squad. Very, very solid, but doesn't really mix it with the player AI or the ID of some of the rest of these GOAT players here as well. Same with Tomiyasu, one of my favorite cards ever, back in eFootball 23, but he has aged a little bit now as well. Now, on a similar note, right, I would be tempted to put Nesta in here because I do struggle to play against Nesta. I find him hard and difficult to break down. But like Chiellini, I haven't really ever kind of come up against, Chiellini or Nesta where I haven't been able to score. The three most difficult defenders for me, it's kind of the same with Ed Mielsen. The three most difficult defenders that give me the hardest time are usually Araujo, Thuram and Maldini. Ruben Diaz is in there as well. You could obviously, if you've played with Ruben Diaz, I know a lot of people really rate him. And again, it's kind of a little bit controversial to put Ruben Diaz in as an A, and then you have the aerial fort Van Dijk, when Ruben Diaz is pretty much identical to Van Dijk apart from his height and stuff like that. We also throw Trent in there as well. I don't really rate Trent too much. I do think that he's a bit too, attacking and a bit too open. And Van Buyten, another controversial one. I think I'm opening myself up here for a lot of controversy in the comments, but this is kind of, doing it as best as I can. Now, I'm going to leave this here for a second, right? Because we've got Carlos, Puyol and Rijkaard. Carlos coming into the GOAT tier is I just think Carlos is the best left back in the game, boys. I know that you have to kind of usually have defensive back there, and I know a lot of people will say, well, listen, we'd usually play Maldini left back. I just think Carlos is probably my most consistent player. However, he's been horrific for me this week. Rijkaard and Puyol, I would be tempted to put Puyol into the GOAT tier, but I wanted to make a little bit of a kind of a... We'll see. But I do think that I'm happy enough with the categories there. There's no one really there that's going to be like a massive topic of conversation, I think, that's in the GOAT tier. Maybe Van Dijk versus Puyol, or maybe Nesta into the GOAT tier is where to go. Now, I'm going to actually grade these as well. So starting from left to right, I am going to put Thuram as my definitive number 1 defender at the moment. I just think he's the best defender in the game, no matter what version of him that you have. We're using just the card version of the French one here. Cannavaro is going to come into the second spot. We're going to put Araujo. Based on everybody talking about Araujo and how good he is and how consistent he is, we're going to put him third. Then Maldini, Van Dijk, Carlos, Rijkaard. In the A tier, we're going to top it with and start it with Nesta. Chiellini goes in there as well. We've also got Puyol Bicyclini, we've got Jordi Alba, Edmilson, Diaz, Walker, and Jonathan Tah. And then for our B tier, see the thing is, man, there's no weakness in any of these players. Like, you can put Cafu in, or Philip Lam in, or Trent in, or Mosquera in, and you could, see a top 20 in the world using these players. You're really splitting hairs. Do I think there is a difference between Thuram and Araujo and Cannavaro and Maldini and pretty much compared to anybody else in the squad? Yeah, Rijkaard hasn't been as good for me lately, so he might slip out of the GOAT tier. But that's where we're going to finish it. Let me know what you guys think. Thuram, in my opinion, is the best defender in the game at the moment. I think my top 5 is fairly set. Maybe I'm a little bit biased towards him because obviously I play with him quite a lot. But let me know what you guys think. Have I got it right? Have I got it wrong? If I have got it wrong, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, or let me know in the comments just how ignorant I am to some of these cards. And yeah, subscribe as well if you enjoy the content. Up next, midfielders. Let's go, baby.